Alright, welcome to the Maya 2014 lecture on basically the basics of Maya. First thing let's get started on is we want to talk about a little bit of hardware here. Really something you need when you're working with Maya and a lot of programs is you need a 3-button mouse. Any 3-button mouse will do, preferably if it has a scroll wheel, which is kind of hard to find a 3-button mouse without a scroll wheel now. It can be anywhere from the cheapest up to your regular gaming mice. If it looks like it only has 2, but the scroll wheel clicks when you push on it, that is a 3rd button. All right, very handy because you're probably going to use it. If you don't have one or can't get a hold of one, technically you can get away without using it, but it's very difficult. So just keep that in mind. You can get them in the $5 range if you have to. So, all right, let's move on. First thing we need to start is to download it. The actual install time can take a while because it has to download, and if you have a slow internet connection, that could even take longer. So let's go ahead and start here. We're going to get the free education version of it. So I'm going to go ahead and click on here, and it's going to take us to this web page. You'll either have to sign in here or create your account. Either way works fine. All right, and then you'll go down here, choose the version that you want. In this case, you want Maya 2014. All right, so the idea behind using Maya 2014 is that 2016 is kind of broke right now. It has a lot of bugs in it and just has caused all kinds of headaches. So we're going to stay away from that for now. Reason why we don't do 2015 is because we have more material on 2014. I've already written a tutorial or two, and why move on from there? Number 3, my third reason, is that occasionally you may run into a project you're working on in a studio, and that studio may say, hey, you have to use specific pieces of software. Either they have licenses for it already and they don't want to spend the money, or they've already been working on a project for a while and they don't want to change to another piece of software because, well, if you change to a different piece of software midway, you run the risk of messing stuff up, errors, incompatibilities, things like that. So just keep that in mind. That's why we're staying on 2014. Next thing, of course, you want to choose a language. I choose English. And then operating system. In this case, since we're on Windows, we're going to choose Windows 64-bit. All right, and then you can scroll down to the bottom. It gives you a key at the bottom, and you hit install, and it'll start downloading the file itself. Once you download the file, which should be fairly quick, you'll start it up. You'll install everything that comes with it. It could take anywhere up to an hour and a half or 2.5 hours. I've seen it go a long time, so don't panic when it's doing that. Just let it go. All right, so let's move on here. So once you've got the download started, we can continue on from there. All right, so what is Maya? Well, Maya is actually a 3D modeling software. It's one of 2 major ones. Both of them are now owned by Autodesk. So 3D Studio Max is the other one. We're using this one because more people use it. So I wanted to give you the best tools you can get. It's actually used in many industries, not only the game industry, but it's also used in the movie industry. Things like Pixar. I think you might have heard of them. Also, industries like simulation. Simulation, think serious type games, where they're flight simulators, all kinds of stuff. Basically, they're gaming with a bigger budget per person. So, now, why do we need to teach you Maya? Well, there's a few different reasons. sometimes you just need to create an image of something. You need to create a layout. You want to test it to see what it looks like. Sometimes just, I want to make the room look like this. And you can design it out in Maya to make it look like you want. Also, occasionally, you'll need to create a prototype of the game. Just something to mess around, nothing you're going to release, but you need pieces of it to to make it work. So you might need to create a robot or a character or a piece of furniture that's important to testing the funness of the game. Yeah, that's the technical term, the funness, the enjoyability of the game. So occasionally you do that, and that's why I'm showing you how to use Maya, because you can take the stuff that you make in Maya and bring it into things like Unity, which we'll talk about. Or you can just make a pretty picture. Alright, so things like that. Does it look right? Does this room look like it should exist? Or does the landscape work? How big it should it be? You're making a giant rover. How giant? Alright, well, you put the person at the right height, the character at the right height, and then look at it in game, see if it looks right. And of course, you can adjust all this stuff as you go. Alright, so, yeah, it says, yikes, too small. Like, what are you talking about? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up Maya here real quick. Alright, so I happen to have it out here, so it's easy to get to. So it's going to go ahead and open up, and depending on how fast your machine, it can take a little bit. We're looking at this, and wow, look at the size of those menus. That is really small. If you look over there, you can barely see that says file, and those are really hard to read, and you're going to be getting really close to your computer and looking at that, trying to figure out what it is. It's ugly. It's really, really bad. The problem is that Maya does not, in fact, a lot of Autodesk applications do not follow the rules that Windows set out. It does not, how should I put it? It's not listening to Windows telling it that this is a very high resolution display. You need to increase the size of your user interface. So we have two choices at this point. One, we could reduce the resolution of our display. Possible and pretty easy, but it's not optimal. Things will get stretched out and ugly, things like that. And we paid money for this display, we should get to use it. So let's go ahead and fix this. Let's do it the semi-hard way. I won't say hard because I've taken a lot of the work out for you. Now, if you look at the bottom of this assignment page, or of this lecture page, you're going to see a file called mayafix.zip. Go ahead and download that, and we are going to unzip it. So this is Mayafix. Yours will probably have some long number on it or something like that. Don't worry about it. So once you download it, go ahead and double click on it, and this is the contents here. So we're going to just go ahead and extract all, be done with it. Alright, so here are the two files that we need. The first one is a registry change. So this is kind of like the inner workings of Windows we're going to deal with. So when I double click on it, the display is actually going to go black for you, but it's going to it's asking me, am I sure I really want to do this? You're going to go ahead and hit yes on this. Alright, so now that happened, you'll notice here it says adding unintentional things, blah blah blah, it could damage it. Are you sure you want to continue? Tell it yes. And then hit OK on that. So it has added some settings. Alright, so the second thing we need to do is we need to copy this maya.exe.manifest file. So this is basically saying, Windows, go ahead and expand it for us. Go ahead and make this display bigger for us. Alright, so let's go ahead and once we've copied this file, let's go ahead and go over here to the Start menu, go to All Apps, and we're going to go down to Autodesk Maya and choose, right-click on Maya, in this case, choose Open File Location. Alright, so that's going to bring us to another window here. Not exactly what we want, but again, we want to right-click on it and choose Open File Location. Alright, so that actually brings us to where the program is. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and paste. And of course we have to say yes, we really want to do that. So now the Maya manifest file is here. Alright, we could double click here if we wish, but we don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and close these out. Alright, and we're going to go ahead and start Maya again. Hey look, it's already starting to look better, isn't it? Our user interface is a much more usable user interface now, isn't it? Alright, so I'm going to close these out, and let's go ahead and move on here. Alright, so if you really want to do it manually, you can follow these instructions here. Don't worry about it if you don't understand what's going on. You don't have to deal with that if you don't want to. You can just do what we just did here. Alright, so you saw the user interface. It looks like this, doesn't it? It looks like the shuttle, the inside of a shuttle. It's crazy. There's so many buttons and menus and everything you could think of here. I mean, look at this. It's crazy, isn't it? There's fur and curves and surfaces and menus that drop down, and wow, that's a lot, isn't it? All these buttons. I mean, if you look at it, you're like, I don't know what to do. Well, I'm here to help you with that. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few parts. Where do you start? Well, let's start at the top. Let's go ahead and start at the menu bar. The very menu bar at the top. We're going to look at that. This is the menu bar up here. You've actually seen this before. It's where we, save files, create new scenes, we open files, we copy paste, we can undo and redo, all kinds of stuff. We can open up new windows to do different things. We can do all kinds of things. It's big and it can change. All right. So that has a lot of things we're going to use. The next thing below that is the status line. So this is, I know you'd think like down here at the bottom would be the status line, but that's not true. This is the status line here. So you'll notice there are a few buttons here. Some of this kind of makes sense. You're like, save and open and new, but you're like, what are all these? Well, one of the nice things about Maya is you can hold over and see what each one does. Now, okay, this is where it gets a little complicated. If we hit the drop down here, we now have different menus. You notice which one it's setting. It's editing our toolbar up here, or file menus and stuff like that. Isn't that strange? Yeah, that allows you to do different things. All right, so next one here after the status line is the shelf. So the shelf is kind of this area that changes according to what we're working on. So if we're working on specific surfaces, we can use these polygons, deformation, so we can modify how things look. Animation, if we're going to work on that, we're not. Dynamics, rendering, so different rendering things. Paint effects, we're going to look at this so we can create some grass, all kinds of different things. Fluids, fur, hair, it just goes on. But don't worry about that too much. All right, so the next part is the workspace. This is where we get our work done. That's the name, workspace. So everything happens in here. All right, so let's say we want to move it around here. If we hold down the Option key, we can kind of tumble around that. All right, zoom in is mouse cursor, things like that. That's pretty cool, isn't it? All right, so if we want to look at specifically like the top, we can click on top up here and it'll take us to that side. Very cool. All right, so this shows us a few different things. You know, some settings we're not going to really worry about too much, but it also allows us to change what is displayed. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a cube, or as close to a cube as I can get. So right now, we are looking in what is called wireframe mode. That is a solid object, it just doesn't look that way. So it's just a wireframe. All right, so let's go ahead and we can click one of these buttons here. So this is wireframe mode. This is a smooth shaded, so it looks solid now, but it's gonna miss some stuff if we don't, if we continue on this way. This allows us to get a little more fancy. Now we have shading and all kinds of things. All right, so what I want to show you though is we have keys. So starting with 4, it starts off in the wireframe mode. 5 is just the shaded model. 6 allows us to see textures if we had them on, and 7 is for it brings in lighting, which we don't have quite yet. So we're gonna modify that a little bit. All right, so the next thing I want to show you is the toolbox. So the toolbox consists of several selection tools. These first 3 up here, these first 3 will allow us to select certain things along the way. And then under that we have the move tool, allows us to move objects around. The rotate, you can guess, allows us to rotate it, and the scale allows us to change the size. So let's go ahead and take a look at that in action. And so our selection doesn't look like it does much right now. We'll come back to those in a second. Let's go ahead and move. So this is the movement tool. You'll notice here that we have arrows now. So each one of these arrows will allow us to move the object on an axis. And right now it's aligned to this kind of plane here, this grid. All right, so if I move this yellow one here, it moves it along that axis. If I move the blue one, it only allows me to move along that as well. So if I do this, I'm trying to move it sideways, it won't allow me. And of course the green one here allows me to move up and down. All right, so this one here though is a special one. This one allows me to kind of move with respect to the camera. So the camera is what we're looking at right now. All right, so we've seen that. We also have the rotation tool. So this allows us to rotate the object. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so we can move that way. We can move around this axis here. We can keep going around. It's up to you. We could move around this one as well. So we have an X, Y, and Z axis that we can rotate around, and our camera axis. So just rotate, you know, if we're looking directly at it. That's pretty cool, isn't it? All right, so I'm going to show you a shortcut. Control Z is undo, so we can do that back pretty far. All right, so I've undone that. Let's say we want to change how big this is. Now we can do them all at once, all the axes at once, make a very big object. Or we can do single axes at once. Very handy. Now, let me go ahead and show you the selection stuff here. So I'm going to drop in a sphere and a cone. Start here. So we have a cone, toroid, or donut if you want to call it that. We have a donut. All right, so you can make any of these. You know, you can make a kind of a pipe, a polygon pipe. Pretty cool. You can make all kinds of things with this. Now let's look at the selection. So this one here allows me to select individual ones, or I can kind of drag select them like that. It's a box and it gets kind of boxy, and sometimes you can select things you don't want. All right, the other one here allows us to kind of draw what I want to select. So if I kind of draw this lasso tool around here, sneak in between those two, and grab the donut. Donut. Okay, so you'll notice now that those are selected, and that allows us to kind of move them around together. We can modify them as well. All right, so the other one allows us to grab vertex. So vertexes are a, should I put it, a more complex piece that we're going to deal with in a little bit. So don't worry about that too much. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to undo this. I'm going to do things that I did. Selections. Now, let me go ahead and go up to File, and if you go to Save Scene As, you can save it or save it. Regular save scene. I'm going to go ahead and hit New Scene because we want to start fresh in this case. Alright, so another thing that I want to show you is how to change your views. So right now this is the default one. It's just at that kind of angle there, so if you kind of get out of whack here real quick, you're like, I don't know what I'm looking at anymore. You can click that and it will get you into a more normal kind of view. Let's go ahead and hit that home button. That home button kind of takes us back to what it was before, because if you get into some weird wacko display, you're like, I don't know what to do. You hit that one and it takes you back. Alright, so these are actually kind of useful. Some of them are more useful than others to us as kind of novices. Go ahead and click that. This one right here, the 4-view. It's kind of a famous one. It allows you to look at it from the camera's view, from the top, and different sides. So if you're trying to align stuff, that's pretty handy. So I can kind of draw that out here and kind of increase the height there. Very cool, right? And of course, each one you have to set to what you want it to do. So you could have this one all pretty, and you can have these guys over in like wireframe mode, just so it's easier to see. And I'm not clicking anything, I'm just moving my cursor over it and hitting the 5, or using the numbers here. So 4 is wireframe, 5 is just plain shaded, like we're looking at right now, 6 is textured. Now you don't know what texture is yet, and we're actually going to get to that, and 7 is lit. You didn't play with lighting yet either, and we're going to show you that. It's pretty handy. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of show you these here real quick. It allows you to swap between these. I just go ahead and stay on this for now. It's pretty handy. Alright, so go ahead and swap back here. Now we're going to take some of our stuff. We have extrude and split, so let's go ahead and look at those two. Let's say we have this box here and we want to modify it. Now, when we're selecting stuff, we can select objects, and we can select even smaller things as well. Alright, so if you're using the Mac keyboard, you may need to go ahead and hit the Fn key to use the function keys like normal. So if I hit Fn8, that's going to change us to kind of this component selection mode, which is a little weird. It's not quite exactly what we want. F9 is vertex, so it's the little points that make up the corners of objects, and this kind of is an ultimate movement of things, or a modification of things. So if I go over here to movement, select this one, I can change how that looks. It's pretty cool. So let me go ahead and undo that. All right, I'll go back here. All right, so F10 allows us to select an edge, so we can modify those edges as well. And F11 though is really cool. It's face selection. Face selection allows you to choose a single side. All right, so that's what I've actually done here. I've selected a face. All right, so you'll notice that it's kind of it's got this strange shading to it. Of course, we can click each one. Let's go ahead and do something called extrusion. So an extrusion allows us to take that and kind of make something weird with it. It allows us to extrude. All right, so we could just go ahead and drag this out like that, and it just created a new part of the cube. All right, so something else we want to do, if we want, we can shrink this down. We could do that. I'm going to undo that. Or we can move it like that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and shrink this down a little bit, and shrink that down a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and move around here for a second. All right, so we have that. Let's go ahead and do that one more time. Let's go ahead and choose extrude. And it doesn't look like it did anything, but it really did. All right, so I am going to go ahead and shrink that down a little bit. Shrink this down a little bit. So you noticed it's kind of breaking this face up here. All right, so now that we've done that, I'm going to extrude one more time. So you'll notice here we have this last use tool. So it allows you to go back and do things over and over again if you need to. But in this case, we've selected a previous one, so we have to click there. All right, so I'm going to push this back. Actually, it's kind of hard to see, so I'm going to use Option again and left mouse button, and that's going to allow me to go in and change the view. So I'm going to push this in a little bit so we have this kind of like hollow object. So now we have a hollow object. That's pretty cool, right? We can do strange things with that. And we could continue to do this. Oops, let me do that. Single click. All right, let's go ahead and shrink this down a little bit, and shrink this down a little bit. All right, now we're going to do it one more time, and I am going to, let's see, change our view here, and we are going to drag this out. All right, so that's pretty cool, right? You know, we have this strange object. I don't know, maybe it's a tool or something like that. All right, so the other thing that I need to show you is how to split a polygon. So each one of these, this is a polygon, and we're going to split it. By split it, I mean we're going to make new pieces out of it. So this is the interactive split tool. So this allows us to break things up a little bit. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select here and then here. So you'll notice it's kind of creating this line, and this line allows us to get a kind of a view of what we're doing. I'm going to go down here. Alright, and then I'm going to rotate a little bit more, and right here, and then one back up here. Now, you'll notice I didn't quite get that right, so you may have to click that. Alright, let me go ahead and undo that, because I didn't quite get that right. So remember, Control Z allows us to undo. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and back off on that. So backspace allows us to go through that. All right, so let's try this again. All right, I want to do there. It's still not perfect, but bear with me here. Yeah, sometimes it'll get a little angry while I'm trying to do that. Mainly because I'm doing something silly. There we go. Now I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to split that. So now we have a new polygon here. And guess what? We can actually select these faces now because they're new faces. This used to be one face, now it's two. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that. Let me go ahead and shift click that. So shift clicking allows you to select multiple things at once. So shift click, shift click. All right, so we're going to take that now that we've split it, and we're going to extrude it. You're like, what? That's strange. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, we can do strange things like that. Let me go ahead and undo that, because let's go ahead and actually just pull it out. Ah. See, sometimes that does strange things like that. If you have these strange polygons coming out, don't use that. Undo what you did there, Control Z. In this case, we want to just select one at a time and extrude from there. So we're going to try that like this. So now we can do that. Extrude. Extrude. And one last extrude here. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Maybe it's a device laying on its side. I don't know. It's a brand or a sensor. Who knows? That's pretty cool, isn't it? Now, I'm going to show you the quick and dirty basics of texturing now. So let's go ahead and save this. Save scene tool. Right. It's just saying, hey, you're using the student version, it's really just meant for learning, and that's what you're doing. All right, so let's go ahead and start new. A new scene here. We've already saved it, so I don't really have to. All right, so let's go ahead and drop a cube in here real quick. All right, so, or cubish kind of thing. So now we have one there. We're going to go ahead and bring it to 6 to show it with textures. Right now it doesn't have a texture, so let's go ahead and add one. I'm going to go ahead and right click, and you're like looking at that menu, you're like, wow, that's a crazy menu. Yes, it is. But what we're looking for is if you're going to have to continue to hold down your cursor, your right mouse button, and go down here to assign new material. And it's going to bring up this menu. In this menu, you need to choose the kind of material it's using. So we're going to do a Lambert first, so that's basically changed how light interacts with this. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here to color. Alright, so if you look over your color, you have this checker box over here. You're going to go ahead and click on that, and that's going to bring up a new window. And what we're going to do is we are going to choose file because we are going to load some data. Now you could do any one of the others over here. You could do rock, marble, wood, a fake wood kind of thing. But we really want to do a file in this case because it just looks better. Alright, so I'm going to click the little yellow file icon over here, and I'm going to go to my desktop because I know I have a wood texture over here. Look at that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit open on that. and now it has textured that. Now, in some ways, Maya can do some nice texturing on its own. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's your job to make sure it works fine. All right. So let's go ahead and let's modify something here real quick. All right. So before I do that, of course, always save. So woodblock, very cool. All right, so let's go ahead and bring up what is called the UV texture editor. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, you're looking at it and you're like, what is this window? Normally this comes up smaller, but I've already kind of changed that. So right now it's not actually showing anything, and that's the problem is if we go back here, we don't have this selected. So I'm going to select it, so now see it's selected there, and hit that button again. And now it's showing this. All right. You'll notice that we weren't using the whole entire thing. Well, we weren't using it for what we expected. You know, we had the big giant file, and that looks kind of, 90s, early 2000s texture, doesn't it? It looks kind of bad. So let's go ahead and fix that real quick. All right, so we're going to go back here and bring this up here. All right, and we are going to change that. So if we change this over here, let me go ahead and go back over here real quick. You'll notice that the block here has changed. It's kind of weird. All right, so we've kind of messed up some of our texture here. That's okay. Not a big deal. All right, so let's kind of pull this up again. All right, so let's go ahead and undo that real quick. All right, but what I want to do is I want to modify some stuff here. All right, so what I'm going to do is kind of increase the size right here. I'm going to drag this over here. And I'm going to drag this one over here. Get that just right. And we're going to drag this one over here. Now, don't worry, in this case, this is fine because when you kind of go outside of it, it wraps around again, so that's there. And this one is here. Now, you have multiple ways of modifying this. I'm just going to show you a quick way on that. So let me go ahead and move back here real quick. Oops, not what I wanted to do. Let's go back here. Now, if you'll notice that we have a very nice set of textures working there. Look at that. A lot more detail, isn't it? Now, if we look down here on the bottom, that's kind of what it looked like beforehand, and this is after we've modified it. So that looks pretty good, right? It really does. Okay, so next thing I want to show you is how to render something. So we're going to take this image, and we are going to make a pretty picture out of it, basically. That's the easiest way to put it. Alright, so we're going to do what some of the guys in the movie industry do. Well, kind of in a way. Alright, so the button I just hit is the kind of like white window with the clapboard in it. So open render view. And what I'm going to do is go over here and set render the current frame. Look at that. All shaded and everything. All right, so that's pretty cool. If you're having problems or if it's going really slow, make sure you're on Maya software. That works usually the best way. You can do hardware and you can use your system. I probably shouldn't have done that since I'm recording. The Mental Ray, if you have your settings right, it works great. But sometimes it doesn't work, and some people won't even have it for some reason. All right, so let's go ahead and close this out for now. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back in here and show you here. When you want to save this, when you want to save a rendering, you choose Save Image, and then you need to go down here to the file type, and then choose something normal like JPEG. So let's go ahead and go to Desktop and Woodblock. Alright, so we have the Woodblock there now saved. Alright, so that's how you render something. Now, let's talk about adding nature to this thing, I guess. Alright, so let's go ahead and use what's called Paint Effects. So if you click here, it says Paint Effects, and we're going to go over here to the grass itself. So there are other things that we could do, and I'm not terribly interested in those. We're just going to add some grass to this woodblock, or to the area around the woodblock. So let me go ahead and start drawing. Alright, so you could do this, or you could just drag along, but if you drag along, then it all kind of point the same way. So this is why I like doing this here, kind of making the happy little grass, things like that. Alright, so when I let go of the mouse button, it's actually going to turn bright green, which is basically it being highlighted. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of change over to the regular selection and get away from that. Alright, so let's go ahead and kind of get a look at that. The reason why I want to show you it so late is because it actually will eat a lot of computing power to show that, because that's a lot of detail there. Alright, so now that I've done that, the next thing to show you, actually let me go ahead and render that so you can see what it looks like. Alright, so we're going to render, and now we have some nice grass in front of our block of wood. Alright, so let's go ahead and go back here. The problem is what we've been doing so far is that it's just using this default lighting. And it's not cool. It gets kind of boring, but sometimes there are things you want to do. First thing we want to do in this case is we want to create what's called a directional light. So I'm going to click on this, and unfortunately it's actually hidden that inside of the block. So what we need to do is go over here to the Move tool and click that, and now we can move this light so we can actually see it. Alright, so right now all this light is moving across the screen in the world in this case. So if we move the camera on there, that's what it looks like. This type of light is like sunlight, in that, yes, we know it comes from a point, but in kind of when things are showing up, it all just looks like it's all moving in the same direction. So let me go ahead and do a quick render here real quick. Now we've started to use lighting, and right now this lighting is just coming from this direction. It's just moving across. Alright, let me go ahead and do something here real quick, and we are going to move to the lighting version there. So I hit hit 7. Alright, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this light a little bit. Hey, look at that. Rotate it down a little bit. So it's very handy what we can do with this. Alright, so I'm going to kind of make a dark side here real quick, They have cookies, and I like cookies. All right, so the next thing I want to show you in lighting happens to be this spotlight. So this is what you think of when you have a flashlight or a spotlight or something like from a helicopter or whatever. This is how that works. So again, it was a jerk and it's now inside of the block. So let's go ahead and move that. Now, if you look at this, it has this kind of a cone attached to it. That's to represent which way the light is going. So let's go ahead and change that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and rotate it. All right, and it's not perfect because it's doing this quick lighting that it's working on. So if we really want to see it, now we have kind of a shortcut button. You could hit this and then open the other one, but this is our shortcut button. So now we have this light here. Yes, it's ugly, spotlight, but it's ugly, but we can fix that. All right, so we have the shape that we have. We have kind of like a sample version of it. We have this decay. Now I'm going to leave this for you to play with because this is a lot of fun. You're going to learn a lot of stuff about that. Now I just turned that way down, so increase the intensity there a little bit, so it might be easier to see. Actually, let's just do a linear decay. All right, so and let's see, drop off. So right now it's not dropping off at all. So that was part of our problem. That's why it kind of looks so fake. So you notice it's kind of dropping off there. It's working a little bit better. But sometimes you can actually see some of the changes here. Now this is a wider cone that we can modify. It's pretty cool. So you can set your shadows, and you can change the color of the light. Let's go with a nice light blue color for the light. All right, so if we look at that, we now have a light blue light happening there. All right, so that should give you enough to kind of work with on building. Your assignment is to actually create a kind of this little diorama of a backyard scene, with a picnic table and a tree and grass and fence. So kind of giving you all the tools that you need here for this. So go ahead and work on that. If you look in the assignment there, it has all the specifics on what we want and how to turn it in and everything for you. If you have any questions, let me or your instructor know, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. So the blue wooden cube and I wish you luck on your project, and have fun.